Welcome along to this UFC 307 preview. Sam and Joe back with you for another week. We've had a couple of weeks off. We missed last week's Paris card, getting stuck into that. But here we are, another pay-per-view and time for another one of our draft picks where we pick 5 fighters each from across the card to have our own little teams, and we then see who wins at the end, which is normally Joe. Which after UFC 306, he picked up another victory with those last 2 picks. I got drawn into the main events. We were just talking about it off air with O'Malley and Marab and the co-main there as well. Joe, you remain a man on form when it comes to these drafts.
Yeah, if you're watching, come tell me. Like you said, I think at the moment I'm averaging 4 out of 5 picks. So if you want to make a little parlay of the ones you like, you know what I mean? We both do. I think you're averaging 3.5, Sam. So it's not like I'm dominating it. Like you said, I'm just picking up the one win to get me ahead in these drafts. But yeah, follow us along, give your comments, and hopefully we keep earning you some money if you're following us. And if you haven't, join in. And yeah, we've made some money this year, so let's keep going.
Yeah, we're going to maybe do a couple of live shows as we end the year, try our hand at the lives. So watch out for those coming up. I think we're going to debut perhaps at the big Abu Dhabi card at the end of the month. But first, UFC 307, Alex Pereira. It's his third outing of 2024 as he faces number 8 ranked Khalil Rountree Jr., of course, in this main event. Joe, what do you make of the main event and the card before we get stuck into the drafts?
Bit better than the last few we've had. I think the UFC Paris ended up being some decent fights. Obviously, a bit of interest there, but yeah, it's there's a few to go out here, Sam. I think, like I said, some heavy favourites, but a lot of coin tossers. A lot of ones where I think it will go either way when we're competing. So no good. And for the main event, Alex Pereira is fun to watch, isn't he? Like I said, some amazing knockouts recently. He's really hitting his form. He's getting old, so I think that's going to have to start to be considered because he is. But there's no slowing him down yet. And I think while he's in his prime, let him keep going. And yeah, a fun encounter here. Should be. We'll see later whoever gets to pick, but for me it should be a fun fight at least. Khalil Rountree, great stand-up fighter, devastating leg kick. So let's see if he can pose any sort of challenge to Alex.
Yeah, going to be interesting. Like I said, there is as well as that fight being fun. There's some fun fights on the card as well for this one. Yeah, Aldo Batista is pretty fun to me. Delidze Holland, Thompson against Buckley should be fun. Interesting to see what Kayla Harrison does as well against Ketlen Vieira. And if you watched the press conference last night, I only watched a bit of it, but a complete bitch fest on there between Pennington, Pena, Harrison, and Vieira. It was like a 90s episode of Jerry Springer getting to look into each other. So that potentially a couple of fun matches in the women's fight. A lot of trash talking between the female fighters. On this card, dominating the press conference on Thursday evening in the UK. So let's get stuck into the draft then. Are we? Am I going first as the perennial loser, or do you want to go first this time?
I think you're the honest, Sam.
Yeah, as the loser, then I'll go first. And I just mentioned her there. I'm going to go for Kayla Harrison to kick things off. I think she is going to put in another dominant performance against Ketlen Vieira. As we saw at UFC 300, making a debut in the UFC, putting it on Holly Holm. Some real dominant ground control in the first round. Obviously, moving on from the PFL, was allowed to use her elbows in the ground and pound, and she delivered some pretty heavy blows to Holly Holm, and probably could have finished her in the first round. Eventually got the sub in the second, and I think she's going to have too much for Ketlen Vieira here. I think she's going to be too strong. Obviously, competing at lightweight in the PFL, making bantamweight in the UFC. She is massive. She's got that huge back. She's got great grappling. Obviously, a two-time Olympic gold medalist in judo, and I think she's just too strong and well-rounded in MMA now. She's got quite a lot of fights in the PFL as well. Two-time winner of the lightweight tournament over there. So, yeah, Kayla Harrison to get me off to hopefully a winning start.
Not arguing with you there, Sam. I don't think you'll find me going against you. So yeah, no, she would be my first pick if I had the first pick this round. So no, fair play to you, and hopefully my one is just as good. With my first round pick, Sam, I've got to go the main event. Let's get it out of the way. I'm going Alex Pereira. I think he's looking unstoppable. I think obviously everyone's hyping up Khalil Rountree stand up. You love his journey. You know what? To be fair, if you're watching YouTube about him, he's lived some life. He's gone and done a bit. Went to Thailand, learned how to absolutely destroy people's knees doing leg kicks, and he's been an absolute animal since that Thailand journey. I think that's irrelevant when it comes to Alex Pereira. You're not out leg kicking him, and I think in the stand up, we've not seen Alex Pereira. We've seen him once get obviously knocked out by Israel, but other than that, he's had a fairly good chin, and like I said, he probably took too many risks in that Israel when I think he thought he had him. Otherwise, he's just looked fit, and I think we've seen Khalil Rountree get wobbled before, and I don't think it's changing here. Pereira 1-1, Sam going into round 2, I think.
Nice, like it. So there we go. Round 1 picks done and dusted. Round 2 now, and I don't know. I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go for Joaquin Buckley. I think against Stephen Thompson. See, Thompson now 41 years old. Not had the best run. He's still been fighting against top guys, Stephen Thompson, but Joaquin Buckley, for me, has just looked great since he's moved down to welterweight. 4 straight wins. He's getting better with every fight at the weight, and I think he's just going to overwhelm Wonderboy here this weekend. He can get hit, Buckley, but like I said, he's just looked too strong for me moving down. Obviously, a former middleweight as well. Did bits up there, lost back to back against Imavov and Chris Curtis before he decided to drop down. And I think he just looked all the better for it. He's got a couple of knockouts in there. The head kick against Filau, he beat Luke up as well, ground and pound in round 2. And I think he's got a mixed game. We know Wonderboy doesn't like to get taken down. He does struggle in that department. And Buckley's, he's got both. He can get in close in range and land some bombs, but also has got a decent grappling there as well. So yeah, I think he's got too much for Wonderboy this weekend. So I'm going to go Buckley to get a place in the top 10 at welterweight.
I like it. Yeah, I'll save some thoughts for later on that. So actually, might be giving something away, but I'm not going to play the odds game this round. I've got a few fighters I want to pick that, like I said, there's some odds picks I can go with, but I'm not. And I'm going to go Jose Aldo against Mario Batista. I think a lot of people have, like you said, Batista's, I think, the short favourite here. It's pretty close on the odds, flip-flops a bit, but I've got Aldo winning this. I think he's an absolute monster. Last fight still looked incredible. I'm not going against the King of Rio. I think he's an absolute animal of a fighter. His body works better than ever. I think you have to be champion level worthy to beat Aldo, and I don't think Batista is. I think he's a good fighter. Nothing against him, but I don't think we're going to see him having that title. And I think that's the level we're talking to beat Aldo, even at his age, he's still athletic, he's still got all his power, and he's smarter than ever. He's got probably better hands. He did his little journey in boxing. His hands are probably as sharp as they've ever been. And he's introduced the leg kicks again after forgetting about them for a couple of years. So, yeah, I've got Aldo winning this one.
Yeah, I like that. I've been sided with Aldo this week, doing some of my written stuff. So I'm with you on that one. That's a nice pick. I'm gonna go next. I think in round 3. I'm gonna go for a fighter I picked last time out as well. Up at light heavyweight at UFC 303. He's back down at middleweight for this one. I'm going to go for Roman Dolidze to get the win of Kevin Holland. Holland obviously has campaigned at welterweight as well. Flip flop between the two divisions. He's recently back up at middleweight. But I think actually, for me, I know he lost back to back before he moved back up, but I think he looked good as a welterweight. Kevin Holland better, taking some of the weight off, and I think Dolidze might just be a bit too strong for him here. Again, he's taking this at short notice, Dolidze, and he did look a bit tired against Anthony Smith last time out, but moving up to 205, where he has fought before. Got the win there in unanimous fashion. Was dominant against Smith that night, and he's pretty much beaten a lot of the kind of roundabout kind of Holland level fighters at middleweight. A Jack Hermanson, those kind of guys. Lost as he stepped up against Vittori and Imavov, but I think he looked decent against Smith, and I think Holland's either on or he's not. And I think this time round, I think Dolidze has got the strength for this one. And I'm going to go for the Georgian to get this one done.
We'll have a bit of fun, Sam, because I'll go straight into my round 3 pick. And I'll go Kevin Holland. I'll have a bit of fun. I'll tail against you. Have a we need a little battle in between it all. Yeah, I think, like you said, I'm not going to disagree with anything you said, but I think if Holland is on, I think he wins this fight. I think he's got too much for Dolidze on the stand-up. He's got great jiu-jitsu. Obviously, Dolidze is a great wrestler, but Holland's sneaky everywhere, and I think if we can put it together, like as you said, depends what Holland turns up. If he's been a bit daft, not concentrating, a bit. Sometimes he's just too busy. His head's elsewhere, and he just chips away and gets the losses. But if he's on, he wins this fight, Sam. And I'm going to gamble that he's on tonight, and he has one last run for a top 5, maybe a title. I won't put it past Dana giving him a title fight if he goes on a couple 5-win streak. So I'm going to go with Holland, and I think UFC will give him a massive push and hopefully get him near that top 5 for a title fight in the next couple of years before he gets too old.
Nice. So there we go. That is round 3 done and dusted. A couple more picks to go, and as we enter round 4, I'm gonna pick Cesar Almeida for this one. Only got a couple of fights in the UFC. He's a middleweight, 1-1 in the UFC. Did lose his last fight in a split decision to Roman Kopylov, who does have a decent record in the UFC. He's an experienced guy, so no shame in losing that one. Looked good in his first fight against Dylan Bunker, stopping him in round 2. Nasty elbow to some ground strikes, and coming up against Iho Pereira, who has a losing record in the UFC. He's 2 wins, 4 losses, lost 3 by knockout, was subbed as well last time out by Michel Pereira. But yeah, I just fancy Almeida here to get back here in the win column. Split decision loss last time out in the fight, and I think this one is set up for him to get his second win in the UFC.
I like it. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Pereira, I think I've gone with Pereira before in the past with a few of my bets, and he just let me down. He does look interesting when he fights. You learn your lesson on them ones. I think Almeida's got too much, Sam. I'm with you. I won't be going against you now. My round 4 pick, Sam. I'm going to make people a bit of money. If you're tailing me, obviously, you've got your choice there between the Holland and Dolidze one, but I'm going over Vince St. Preux. He's the betting underdog here. I could have waited till the 5th round because I don't know whether you'd gone with him and gone with the odds, but I'm going against the odds here. He's 9-4. He's like I said, you get more than double your money if he wins, and I like having he's beat Kennedy and stuff. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his second name, but he's just beat Kennedy. So he's had a few bad losses before that, but I've just never liked Ryan Spann on the ground. He should be a Vince, but I think a Vince is getting old. Got one last win in him. I think this is the one. I think it's a matchup that I wouldn't be scared about. He's not getting knocked. I don't think he's getting knocked clean out by Ryan Spann. I think he'll be able to match some of the grappling. And come on, let's get a St. Preux choke to finish off his career. He's renamed the Von Flue to the St. Preux. And I think I'm hoping he gets one last one to say goodbye. And if he does get a St. Preux choke, because I'm calling it, I think he retires and goes out a legend of the MMA grappling game.
There we go. Like it. That is round 4 in the bank. Round 5, where these things can be won and lost, and definitely lost from my point of view. These round 5 picks. And do you know what? You've taken a couple of my picks from earlier, so I'm running a bit low on the gas tank of picks here. But I'm gonna go. I think in the co-main event, I'm gonna go for Juliana Pena to regain the women's bantamweight title. She's been off a couple of years, which obviously is a concern. With the series of injuries that she's had, but she's back fully fit now, refreshed, had some time off. The wear and tear on the body sometimes it is a good thing to have a little bit of time off and fully recover from all these injuries. So up against Raquel Pennington, these two don't like each other. Even back from the Ultimate Fighter days back in 2013, they shared a room on the show, fell out over who was waking each other up in the morning with hair dryers and all that kind of stuff. And obviously now down the line, fighting for this bantamweight title. Pena shocking the world when she beat Amanda Nunes 3 years ago. Now with that submission victory she got, I think she was a plus 700 underdog that night, and obviously lost it in the rematch. We've not seen her since, but I just fancy her here. She is the more aggressive fighter on the feet, on the ground. She's got some good submissions. She's dangerous off her back, as she showed even in that rematch against Nunes, which she lost. Whereas Pennington, decent boxer, can try and keep this at range. She does tend to go to the distance, so we could be going long for this one. But I just think Pena has more of a dog in her, and I think she isn't going to give this one up. And I just fancy her to regain the title. So I'm going to go for Juliana Pena. She's got stoppages there. She's got some submissions, and I just think all around she's just a little bit more aggressive in this one, and could be refreshed by the time off that she's had.
I'm happy you've gone this fight, Sam Ty. We're looking to stay away from it. I like Rocky's, like you said, Rocky with the boxing, fits the name, fits the nickname, but then like Pena, that's a toss-up, isn't it? It's a toss-up, and especially when there's that actually very dislike involved, it's so tough. It's probably who keeps the calmest and who executes their game plan better. So staying away after you covered, because that lets me go into my final pick, and it's Alexander the Great Hernandez. He's not been so great in the past, but I think he's got too much frost in Hubbard here. He's an interesting fighter, Hernandez. He goes a lot of decision, gets a few TKOs out there. Looks good. He's got a great body. If that doesn't sound too strange to say, he's got a great body. Looks athletic as anything. Trains in altitude. I think he's got. I keep saying this final run in him, but I think a couple of them do go on a later run. He's had a lot of life lessons in the UFC. I remember Cerrone famously embarrassing him, didn't he, saying you're nothing, and then beat him comfortably. I think he's learnt a lot, and I think we're going to see Hernandez. I think he's got one last run where he beats a couple of good fighters, obviously depending on the matchups. gets in that top 10, he's got too much frost in cupboard. And that is my final pick, Sam. Alexander the Great Hernandez.
There we go. The teams are in the bag, banked. So interesting. I think we've got most of the main fights covered there across this. We've not really gone head to head too many. Only on the one fight, wasn't it? On the the Lindsay Holland fight. So we've covered a fair stretch of the card.
To go Wonder Boy, but then, like I said, Buckley's just not a good matchup for him. Physically so strong. If you can get Wonder Boy to the ground, you can just sprawl and brawl him for 3 rounds, can't you? And I think Buckley might, but God, if Buckley wants to stand up with Wonder Boy, I'd take Wonder Boy. But yeah, no, I stayed away from it. And other than that, yeah, should be a good fight night, to be fair, son, shouldn't it?
Yeah, there's definitely some fun fights on there. Obviously, headlined by Alex Pereira and Khalil Rountree Jr. I'm with you with Pereira. I think he's going to get the job done. Too accurate. It's accurate for me. And I think he's going to get the third defense done and dusted for 2024. And probably his year done, but who knows? He could end up stepping in on another card if he gets the job done. The man's an absolute machine. But yeah, should be interesting. But yeah, like you said, a lot of people building up Khalil Rountree Jr. Ahead of this one. So we'll see how it goes. Joe, thanks very much. And we'll be back with you next time for another one of these drafts picks or maybe some news. I'm not even sure what is the next card. I'm away next week, but I'm not sure where the next time we fly in the UFC is.
I think the next one's in October, late October. I think the next the main eventer.
Yeah, the next pay-per-view. But yeah, all right, interesting fight next weekend is Royval against Taira, the Japanese fighter. Should be interesting. We've got Pereira Hernandez as well at the Apex. 2 Apex cards to come this month before UFC 308. Saturday, the 26th of October, Topuria against Holloway. Really looking forward to that one and the whole card, of course. But until next time, Joe, have a good week and enjoy the fights.
Thank you very much. You too, Sam. See you soon.